Hello and welcome to my channel, everyone. I am the Queen of Clovers, and this is going to be a Divine Soulmates reading, Divine Masculine, Divine Feminine reading, and the energies that surround those. Remember, this could be a general reading and not apply to everyone, and but definitely hang around because I think this is going to be for everyone, especially the first part of the reading because it's where love is going. So one of the reasons I follow all the twin flame readings online is because they do actually apply to most people. And that's because even if you are not a twin flames are the highest example of our love, and we often flow with twin flame energy. And the reason I'm saying I may or may not be a twin flame is because I'm in a point where most divine feminines are, and I could actually use that as the divine feminine status of of soulmates right now is a broken heart, a little bit of just having to go with what we got on our own. One of the most interesting parts about being a divine feminine right now is that we are in a rebuilding energy. If you're a divine masculine, you're I'll get to you in a minute, but if you're a divine masculine, it's you've learned to build your divine feminine energy over the pandemic. For divine feminine energy is resting energy, and every woman knows that absolutely women do not rest, but women are found most beautiful in rest. Women are the natural preparers. So very often, what is defined as this beautiful, beautiful energy, there's a lot of work that women put behind it that we don't get a lot of credit for but we do it feminine wise. And so there's a lot of preparing, a little less doing, and a little preparing for the doing of others. So the pandemic, we went through this whole big Me Too thing. The pandemic shows up, and what should happen is as a worldwide global crisis, we are all sent home to rest. And so we're all sent home to rebuild our feminine energy. A lot of men have come to the realization that of the value of feminine energy apart from just enjoying a female at rest. There's a lot that comes before that that actually brings us divine feminines as defined as resting beings. So right now, the divine feminine is realizing she's coming into her power. She's coming into the ability for us to be able to live every day. I also live in California, which is one of the last places, one of the few places that have had really severe lockdowns. And we're still technically in lockdown. I still haven't gone back to work. And the divine feminine energy is getting to that area where we may not have, if we're in separation from your soulmate right now, which a lot of us are in separation still, and kind of like running into each other a little bit. It's more like it's more like the realization that we must take on our feminine energy alone, which is fine. We can handle that. We're all queens as divine feminines, but we're a little heartbroken because we thought somebody would be with us. And it's that realization that, yeah, right now it's going to be a little lonely if we're going to accomplish what we need to accomplish to build the empire we're building. We always have that focus on ourselves, divine feminine. The other note was on the divine feminine energy. Okay, yes. So let's go over to the divine masculine, then we'll talk about how the energies are colliding. Right now, the divine masculine is having to deal with a divided energy. It's mostly because he has been stimulated in his feminine side, but also because he's realized, because most feminines have been seen and enjoyed by their masculine in a home state because of the pandemic, more in a residential state, in their resting state even, and in their working state. So all that resting that the masculine loves to watch the feminine do, the reclining woman, he finds very sexy and really alluring. He's had an opportunity to be home with her and see everything that happens before she rests and reclines and manages to look so beautiful. And now he's beginning to see where he belongs in this energy and how she would like to position him in this energy. Unfortunately, masculines, I'm pretty sure you're dealing with the fact right now that that you are two different people. There's a person you are apart from your feminine. And then this could be your karmic also personality with your past people, your past families, your exes. And then there's the person as the divine feminine sees you, or seems to define you by her actions for you, her unconditional love and her attention. Um, you are my weakness and my strength at the same time is a message from the masculine. I think that's from Guided by Angel. No, it's not by Guided by Angels, but what is what was clairaudient for me, no, not clairsentient for me, was that song, that Two Lovers, and I love them just the same. You know that song. If you haven't heard it, look it up. It's an oldies tune. I think it's the 50s, might be 60s, early 60s. But the point being that it's the same person. This too, spoiler alert, it's the same person. And the lover is so divided, and he needs to bring integration. The masculines need to integrate their two personalities where they are split. This is psychologically, it is a splitting kind of all good or all bad kind of way about it too. So all masculines are really looking themselves as definitely all bad in some parts of their lives and all good under the gaze of their feminine. Don't forget, feminines do love to watch a masculine work. Masculines are that working, doing, action energy. Of course, remember I said they're all words, but yes, a woman does like to watch a man work. It's why we like to watch you guys play sports. Most women will get tired of it after a while, but your soulmate will probably watch you forever. So I'm going to pull cards for each for the divine masculine and divine feminine. But first, let's talk about those two energies coming together. When the masculine feels the deep connecting and the deep love and attention from a feminine, especially when he has not felt it before by perhaps his mother or imagine coming into a home and they actually make dinner and watch TV as a family and talk as a family and laugh together and worry about each other. And a lot of masculines may not have had that growing up. Feminines may not have had that growing up, but feminines are home builders. They're going to build a place of home and comfort, and welcome the masculine into that. And that's where the masculine is right now, is in he doesn't feel he deserves it. He doesn't understand if this is real or fake. There's kind of this split between him, he just doesn't know what the feminine sees in him. And so the feminine, when he pulled away, the feminine just went to work in terms of continuing that home building, that empire building, plantation building. And what better time to do it when you're stuck at home pandemically? This is kind of taking a little bit longer than I thought in explaining, but this is the masculine also has to split his identities between his 5D and his 3D identity. It's just many different ways of splitting his identity masculine wise. Masculines are having to decide, how did I write this down? It's especially frightening for a masculine who has gone his whole life under one kind of roof, one kind of home or roof, and then he sees the feminine welcoming into this new home and roof, under this new home and roof, and it's the kind of things he's seen on TV, and he's probably convinced himself these don't exist. He's probably convinced himself that perceptions about him from his karmic or even difficult parents or friends or family are true or were true, but he's actually finding examples when he spends time with the feminine, or he considers the feminine, where he's beginning to realize that these are inaccuracies and he is actually greater than he thought. But he's having trouble accepting that. The other thing about the feminine is that when you have to think about when you go through trouble feminine, it's important to also discuss that the masculine is mirroring you, so you're kind of in the same energy. So it's kind of important to remember that as you are shocked, one of the things that shocks the female when you spend time with your masculine, is your proper masculine, is that the authenticity and the humanity and the tenderness. It's extremely loving, and things that he thinks are quite normal and things that the divine feminine thinks are quite normal, even though they'd kind of wish it was a little better for everybody, or a little more romantic, or a little more tender. Things that they've done for people, or the divine feminine has done for people, that have never been appreciated or reciprocated, but they consider, again, normal, or the way things should be. That is the kind of split that the divine masculine and divine feminine are experiencing. So as the divine feminine becomes shocked and enamored by the way she's being treated properly by her divine feminine divine masculine in moments, the divine masculine is feeling shock at his behavior towards the divine feminine, split apart from his behavior with the guys, or his parents, or his karmic, or even his work public persona. It's in contrast. And so right now, it is becoming extremely difficult to come together, because both divine feminine and divine masculine are living with this split. Divine feminine is all on board. Of course, she's feeling the gigglies and jollies about the divine masculine's treatment of her. But then he pulled away because he thinks that he's still faking, or it's not real. He doubts himself. There's a lot of self-doubt within the divine masculine community. Remember, divine feminine, divine masculine can be. I know there was a lot of talk. I had a long conversation with my angel yesterday to discuss this, and that's what I'm looking at. Yeah, every time I experience the truth about my masculine, it shocks me, because it's like, why would he keep that a secret? And maybe I'm experiencing a lot of that too. All right, let's pull just a couple cards. All right, this is for the feminine. It is the Moon card, of course, hiding away, and the Ten of Wands for the masculine. Right now, the feminine is indeed exploring her inner self, her inner strengths, her feminine mystique, as it were. She is coming into the knowledge of many, many things, the understanding of who she is and what she is becoming and what could be. Unfortunately, the feminine is strengthening from this, and the masculine isn't. So what is actually happening is the feminine is not being reciprocated by the masculine, so she is taking this energy and this power and this strength. The phases of the moon are really strengthening the feminine right now. And so, I'm sorry. So if you are a feminine, definitely bask in the moonlight just as much as you do the sun. The masculine is looking at this as a burden. He isn't looking at it as a new part of himself. He's looking at it as the deception that he has felt from the way people have set him up in life, and the way it's not a full awakening. He's gone through that kind of stuff before, but what he is going through right now is he's going through the idea of, if you've only had white bread your whole life, and then your doctor's like, well, you can't eat white bread anymore, and you're like, well, what the hell am I supposed to eat? Just no bread? And the doctor will look at you funny and be like, well, you know about brown bread, and you know about whole grain bread, and you know about gluten-free, and you're just like, well, I knew white bread was bad for me, but I just didn't know, and of course it's not as basic as that. This is very deep emotion. But then he feels deceived. He feels like, well, why didn't anybody tell me? Why didn't anybody stop me? Why didn't anybody say that I am a higher quality person than they've led me to believe, or that I was capable of more? It's like, it's instead of moving forward and going, oh my God, I can do this, like the feminine is doing, and just running forward, the masculine is sitting in that grovelly position of why didn't anybody tell me I was this amazing, or I could do these things, or that it's that looking back on their past lives, they're finding they were somebody. Why am I not now? What is going on? There's a step that's missing in the masculine's existence right now that is making it really hard for him to come forward. I have the Two of Pentacles, making a decision. And for the Queen, I have the Magician in reverse, because for the Queen, I mean the Divine Feminine. The Divine Feminine is not taking action. This is all, Divine Feminine is moving forward in her own power, because that is her responsibility right now. Especially in the month of May, the Marian month. That is the month of Mary and the Mother of Jesus. Yes, she is one of the Divine Masters, Ascendant Masters. And so it's almost like the Divine Feminine has nothing else to do but, put out her flowers and her candles for the Holy Mother and move on with her life, and pull in that strength and just move forward with whatever is going to happen, going back to work, the pandemic ending, integrating her total feminine self into the opportunities at hand. The world is changing, and at the feminine's hand, we're getting back into that place. The Divine Masculine may have experienced feminine energies. He may have participated in feminine habits, rituals, laundry, feeding children, educating children, keeping the stories of tradition alive, bedtime stories, whatever. They may have experienced this, but in the end, they have not fully integrated emotionally Divine Feminine. The reason it's so easy, their Divine Feminine energies, not just their Divine Feminine that they want to hook up with and make out with. So what it comes down to is, it's up to you, Divine Masculine, to please find the strength and love in your heart and warmth about you. Call upon the Divine Mother, especially if you feel unmothered. The Divine Masculine feels very unmothered right now, and he also feels like even if he did have a mother, he's kind of going through, there's a point as an adult where you realize that nobody gets the adult, the parent. You don't get the parent you need. You don't get the parent you want. It's a luck of the draw, good fucking luck with whatever you get. And there comes a point where you got to accept that your parents didn't give you everything you ever could have wanted. Spiritually, physically, emotionally, nobody's parents hugged them enough. And even if they did, that person probably thinks their parents hugged them too much. It's that kind of energy. And you have to come to the terms with, my parents really did the best they could. Even an alcoholic, abusive parent really did worked with what they got. And that's why you don't, and so it's that energy, like, why haven't I broken out of that yet? For the Divine Masculine, he hasn't broken out of that yet. He hasn't pushed forward in that energy. He can't be stacking ducats and building kingdoms and planting plantations right now. He has to really choose. And the more he chooses himself, the more he chooses the Divine Feminine, because they are mirrors. So right now, in the terms of things, the whole relationship is imbalanced. We know that because not most of us, a good number of us are in separation. Maybe did come together, but have separated again. And that is because the masculine is not fully integrated, and the masculine needs to choose himself, mirroring, and he will be the divine. And when he chooses himself, he will choose the Divine Feminine. The Divine Feminine is choosing a path of greater abundance, a path of integration. And instead of joining that path and stepping into the light and fighting the darkness together, Divine Masculine and Divine Feminine, Divine Masculine has chosen the other path, which is to go take the dark night of the soul, hanging with the black dog with this energy. And the opposite of the Divine Feminine. The Divine Masculine might be losing a lot of stuff right now. A lot of the Divine Masculines haven't gone through what the Divine Feminines have gone through, in terms of having $0 in the bank, 0 pennies in the coin tray, 0, 0, 0. Lucky I had a car to live in for a minute, or lucky I had a sister to take me in. That kind of energy. I don't think Divine Masculines have hit as far rock bottom as they need to snap out of it and start growing with the moonlight, the way the moon grows, patterns. And so right now, I think a lot of you might be, hang on to your ducats, pay those parking tickets, visit your parole officer, do what you need to do. Do your taxes. They're due May 15th. masculines, make sure you're doing, because I know the divine feminine is pulling that life together for herself, and she's upgrading, because we've been here, done that, and now it's time for the divine masculine. Even though you've been sailing along, doing well, getting rid of that karmic, you still have to kind of go through that absolute nothingness to understand what you are in your own skin. Clearly, you're having difficulty comprehending that you can choose yourself. You can choose the divine feminine by doing so, or do both, which would be wonderful for us DMs and DFs, especially the DFs, because we're a little heartbroken. We have to just step away from love right now and just move on with life, because, again, walking the black dog, divine masculine. But I think I'm just going to repeat myself from here out. So let's take a card for what brings the DM and the DF together right now between us is the Five of Pentacles. Left out in the cold. We're going in opposite directions. I'm not surprised. Even these cards are like, one, the masculine's looking this way and the feminine's looking that way. So even in this reading, it's saying that, yeah, we both feel abandoned and alone and unheld and unkissed, but we have to go on with what we have to go on with, and just keep a little faith that love will find us. The divine feminine is dealing with the fact that her twin flame might not be her twin flame. I think about it often. Did I really select the wrong person? And part of that is part of the journey, part of valuing ourselves enough to not let the divine masculine get away with murder. And divine masculine, if you're trying to go see the feminine, one of the reasons why you can't speak with her and why you can't find some joining of yourself to be able to communicate with the divine feminine, even say, I just need time, is because of the fact that you do not have the confidence to step in and say what needs to be said to the divine feminine. And so she's kind of left with whatever's left. And that's not enough for her, so she's got to move on. Not to love. That is still very possible, but she is keeping her heart open and walking away, which means, yes, other men will be looking at the divine feminine. But hey, we know a lot of you DMs are dirty and been like seeking comfort with other women. So you guys got to stop it. But you're in separation right now, so good luck with that. It's a lot to take in this reading. I know I struggled a lot, but hey, disaster is striking, and the divine feminine has like her gas mask and shit together. The divine feminine isn't ready. Divine masculine isn't ready for this, especially in preparedness. The way if a divine feminine is a preparer, divine masculine is not prepared for this cycle. It's going to be a quick one. So if you haven't been towered yet, divine masculines, good luck with that. If you have battened down the hatches, congrats. And, you know, take some time to like re-strengthen yourself and look at yourself as a whole being and not separate being. And know if your divine feminine has welcomed you into her life, she's up there. She is evolving as well, which means she sees things that you might not see that make you quite valuable to her. But again, don't come incorrect towards your divine feminine, because right now she's got twice as much motivation not to pick you up, knowing full well that she's ready for these things and you're not. She's not going to pick you up as a liability. But are you really a liability? Now I'm just mumbling. All right, thank you for paying attention this long. It was a lot to talk about, a lot to cover, some really good cards, really good energy. Thank you for sharing your energy with me, everyone. I know a lot of us are going through it right now, and yeah, I did talk about a parole officer and divorce and karmics and all that stuff going on, and it's a real factor in our lives right now. We really, really need to find our prosperity in ourselves. It's not really a time to be like getting on each other's nerves and saying, why didn't you call me? Why didn't you talk to me? Why are you just staring at my little green dot on Messenger and not saying anything? You know, just let it go and, you know, build some concrete structures, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, that are worth standing on, and we'll just be ready for the opportunities at hand, which may be love with somebody else. It's just the fact of life right now for DMs and DFs. Hang in there, kids. I love you, and please like, subscribe, share, comment. Definitely love to hear about you. It's a very highly channeled message, so I'd really like to hear what's going on with everyone in the soulmate community. All right, thanks. Have a great week.